Hi, thank you so much, John Paul. Uh, Good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Shepard Johnson. I'm the recruiting manager for the San Bernardino Census Office. Our area of responsibility is the greater part of San Bernardino, excluding Ontario area. So today I'd like to share with you the opportunities that we have available with the census and just give you a little overview about the census and its importance and share with you how you can be involved.
Thanks,
So,
Yolanda. My name's Jacob
oh,
Santiago. I'm actually at the Palm Springs location. Our territory covers all the way as Banning, Beaumont, as far east as Blythe, California. We're also responsible for Imperial County as well. And we're also in the Temecula area and Anza up in the mountains. So we have a huge territory in the Palm Springs location. So Yolanda, go ahead and take us away.
thank you, and I apologize. This is my colleague. He's a recruiting manager for Palm Springs, as he just shared. Um, so sharing with you, giving you an overview of what we will be covering today. We're just going to talk about the type of jobs that we have available, the qualifications in order to be considered to work for the census, some timelines, how to apply. We have a really simple, streamlined process, what the steps look like as you are going through this application process, and then just some different ACO areas and the coverage of where census offices are throughout Southern California. So the census results help determine how billions of dollars in federal funding flows into states and communities each year. The results determine how many seats in Congress each state gets. It's mandated by the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 2. The U.S. has counted its population every 10 years since 1790. So this is just to share with you that this is a mandated mission that has long-standing operation. It goes on every 10 years, as mentioned earlier. And once you become part of the census family, you will become a federal employee bound to regulations, confidentiality, and things of that nature.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and watch a YouTube video that's going to explain what the census is all about.
Can one girl in a small town, an architect in a major city, and a suburban high school coach shape the future of the United States? Yes, they can. Because every 10 years, the census gives us that power. You can shape your future by responding to the 2020 census. Where do we need new roads to make our lives easier? Where will new school programs help our children thrive? Where could a new health clinic benefit neighborhoods? The 2020 census will inform these decisions and shape how billions of dollars will be distributed to communities like yours each year. And in 2020, you can respond to the census online, by phone, or by mail. It's easy, safe, and important. Make sure you and everyone you know is counted. Now is the time for you to get involved. Your community needs you. Together, we can educate and excite, inspire, and make sure every voice is heard. Together, we can shape our future.
Thank you for that, Jacob. So as you just saw in the video, it's just really important that we all be a part of the census count and be a part of the mission to get it done, because as you saw, it really shapes our future and as far as funding and things of that sort. So the type of jobs that we have available in order for you to be part of the census, we're going to discuss moving forward. Just to let you know, the biggest part of our mission and the biggest labor force that we use within the census are the census takers. We have really competitive pay when it comes to the census taker. We'll have another YouTube video that kind of just shares with you just some of the responsibilities of a census taker. So Jacob, if you don't mind sharing that
Sure.
with us.
Welcome to Be a Census Taker, 2020 Census Jobs. My name is Joni Crestwell and I'm with the U.S. Census Bureau. For the next few minutes, we'll share a quick overview of the thousands of jobs that provide a perfect opportunity to earn some extra income while helping your community.
Every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau is responsible for conducting the nationwide census. While the next one will be taken in 2020, the Census Bureau is already recruiting to fill important positions in the field now. The positions help ensure an accurate count. This is important because the results of the census have real-world impacts for communities across our country. From determining the number of seats each state has in the U.S. House of Representatives to planning for roads, schools, and hospitals, an accurate count is crucial. You'll work in communities, either updating address lists and maps or going door to door, interacting with people and ensuring that accurate information is collected so that everyone is counted. This is also a great opportunity to earn extra income. Jobs for the 2020 census offer competitive wages that are paid weekly and allow you to work flexible hours, even if you already have other commitments. Every 10 years, since 1790, the United States has undertaken the momentous task of counting all its residents. This is your chance to play a role.
Be a part of this historic event. Join the 2020 Census team. Applying online is easy. Visit 2020census.gov/jobs and click the Apply Now button. If you'd like to learn more before you apply, please watch additional videos in this series. Thanks again.
Thanks so much, Jacob. So one of the positions that you just saw available is a census taker. We have really competitive pay and flexible hours with that position. Palm Springs, which that's what the ACO that Jacob is representing in San Bernardino for ourselves, from San Bernardino is being represented by myself. And so just wanted to share with you the competitive pay, $17 an hour. Also, if there is mileage incurred, if you are traveling to go to these different places, right, to get to the different group quarters, which are housing units or units that have several small rooms within it, like a dormitory or a barracks or what have you, if there's any travel, you do get reimbursed for mileage for that. Also, if you're just going to door, every mile that you drive, you do get reimbursed. And as I mentioned, for both Palm Springs and for San Bernardino, the compensation is $17 per hour. We also have office positions. As you can see here, our office clerk and our supervisors also get paid competitively. They generally work within the office and they support the mission and support the individuals who are out in the field. We have recruiting assistants who are also, that's another position that we have available and that we are recruiting for. Those positions are work at home. So at this time, they are working from home with the environment that we are in. We have made changes to ensure that everybody is safe. We have issued PPE, not only for, well, right now for the enumerators who are out in the field. And just to mention, right now, they are not going door to door. They are going to different group quarters, which I explained, or like dormitories, barracks, and things like that. And then also remote addresses that might share a post office box or something like that. They are, as of now, not having face-to-face contact with anybody, but PPE has been issued for all of them, and they are just hanging door tags with the questionnaire at these different places that they're visiting. But back to the recruiting assistants, those are work-at-home positions, and they will be doing exactly what myself and what Jacob is, what we're doing right now, sharing information about the census and sharing the opportunities and encouraging individuals to apply. We can advance. Okay, so we have very, very easy, streamlined process to become qualified for be considered for a job with the census. You just have to be at least 18 years of age, have a valid social security number, US citizen, a valid email address. You're able to look through all of the criteria that we have, that we are asking of you. If you really look at it, it's really basic information, but there's no resume required to be considered for these positions. So we're going to show you how to apply. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, sorry, we're going to talk about our timelines. So I just want to let you know we have had to make some edits and some revisions to our timeline because of what we've incurred in regards to the COVID-19, pandemic. We were on target. However, in March, we paused our operations. We did stay working all of our operations during the stay-at-home order. However, we did pause them for a while just to make sure that we were staying compliant with the government mandates and the stay-at-home order. So most of the behind-the-scenes processing of fingerprinting, background checks, processing of applications, those are the processes that continue to move forward, along with some recruiting, but just in a different way. We have moved to a virtual platform opposed to us being out in the field. So as we look at the timelines here, the recruiting for census takers have stayed pretty much on target. The biggest edits that need to, we have had to make was as far as conducting the background checks, because we did send a lot of our staff home so that we stay safe and so that we can fall within the mandate of having the proper amount of individuals together in one building. So those actual operations did slow down a bit. Also, the census taker training, those halted temporarily. We did stop training until we were able to get all of the equipment and all the things that we needed necessary to move forward. As far as the work is considered, we do have extended timelines. I know it stops here at July. However, we were on pause for 2 months. So we do foresee extending the census operation longer than it would usually and traditionally have gone. So if we can advance to the next slide. So what to expect when you are applying for the census and when you are getting a census position, and things to consider. You get competitive wages. As you saw, we do compensate, I would say, more than fairly for your time. Also, you get paid weekly. Also, we have the flexible hours. So we have nights, weekends, and there has been circumstances in which we work with school schedules and other jobs, and then all of your training is paid for. Some positions require evening and or weekend shifts because you must be available to interview members of the public when they are at home. And so in addition to most 2020 census jobs require employees to have, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Oh.
So now let's talk about, we're going to talk about how to apply. So in order to apply, the first thing you have to do is log on to this website. Website's 2020census.gov/jobs. A lot of the people that I interact with on a daily basis are actually able to apply from their smartphones, their tablets, and also their computers. So I'd like to show you what the website looks like. That way you can kind of navigate it first on my screen, and then eventually on your own. So here's the website here. It's going to give you some information. We can read through this later. It's talking about the PPE, what Yolanda spoke about earlier. But here at the very top in green is the Apply Now button. So this is where you'd go to start filling out the actual application. If you're a first-time applicant, you're going to be registering here. If you've already created an account, then you'd be clicking on the Returning Applicants button. So I'm going to just do a quick demonstration for everyone. So the first thing we need to do is create a profile. And this is actually where a lot of people get confused. So I want to clear up the confusion immediately. We have to put in our first name, last name, email address, phone number, and then this is where they get confused on the password. We have to create a password that's extremely complicated because this is a federal job. It needs to be very secure. So passwords have to be 12 to 20 characters long. They have to have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols. So all of that needs to be required in order to have a secure password. Sometimes people use the same password from other websites, which is not actually a really secure practice. So this actually prevents you from doing that. It needs to be, again, 12 to 20 characters long. Once the profile is created and you hit this blue Create Profile button, you're going to get an email from Census that will say, hey, did you want to apply for a job? Once you receive that email in your inbox, you'll click on a link that'll redirect you to the actual Census application where you can get started. So I want to talk about 3 steps for a successful application. Number 1 was basically creating the profile. That's the first obstacle that we need to get past. It's very simple, very straightforward. I know a lot of us are tech savvy enough to even participate in the Zoom meeting. So I don't foresee anyone here having any issues with creating a profile. The next thing you have to do is actually complete the application. This application can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to complete, depending on your reading comprehension, how tech savvy you are to get through this. It all depends on each person. And then finally, you'll have to be completing assessment questions. So these are questions that are placed in a way that kind of want to know about your personality. So for example, if we look here at example number 1, my previous supervisor or teachers would describe my self-discipline as, and then you can choose from these options. Now, if you say, below average, obviously you're being honest, but I don't think that would look good for an application. So, we're wanting to get people that are very responsible, people that can actually communicate with others in the community, because this is a job that you're going to be doing as well. Additionally, on the application, we're going to ask questions such as, are you bilingual? What other languages do you speak? Are you fluent in those languages conversationally? Do you read and write in those other languages as well? That's all going to be included. There's also a supplemental application if you are interested in a supervisor position. So it'll ask you 10 additional questions based on that. Some of the questions might be, have you ever managed a team of people before? If so, how many people have you managed? Questions such as that. So what's going to be happening next after you submit your application? I get this question all the time. Jacob, I've already submitted my application. How do I check the status of it? It's super simple. All you need to do is actually log in to the Census portal, and it'll actually say available, and that means that you're available for employment, which lets our team in the office know that we can select people for positions. Right now, we have a team of clerks, administrative clerks that work in the office, and what they do is they handle a lot of administrative tasks, and they also have a giant list of everyone who's available for work. They actually make outbound phone calls to these individuals to select them for positions. And so oftentimes they make phone calls. I know these days a lot of people don't answer calls that they don't recognize, but in this case, it's really important that you do, because it could be an opportunity for you to get a job. So if someone calls you, let's say one of our clerks contacts you and you don't answer, they'll definitely leave you a message, but they have a list of someone else to call. If that person answers the call, they might get selected for that position because you didn't answer that call. So it's really important that you answer the phone calls. If it's a robocaller or a telemarketer or someone trying to scam you, obviously you can hang up on that. But we're always very great to number 1, identify who we are and letting you know that this is a position that you obviously applied for. So this is a list of all of the area census offices. We call this ACO. There's a lot of acronyms in the census. And then we see here LARCC, that's Los Angeles Regional Census Center. So you'll learn a lot of different acronyms. For example, RA, Recruiting Assistant. OSS is Office Supervisor. So these are all the offices within the state of California, a lot, as you can see. Yolanda was so kind enough to highlight our offices in green. She's with San Bernardino, and I'm with Palm Springs. The reason why I wanted to attend this virtual career fair is because we know that Cal State San Bernardino has 2 campus locations. One of them in San Bernardino, obviously, and the other one at our Palm Desert campus. Palm Desert campus is about 15 to 20 minutes away from the Palm Springs area census office. So this would be the territory that they can apply to, that they would be working in. And you would be working in a location within your community. So for example, if you live in San Bernardino, you're not going to be working in Palm Springs. Just want to make that very clear. So as far as contact information, this website, please ingrain this into your brain, 2020census.gov/jobs. If you have any issues with the actual application or need any kind of technical support, the contact information is right here, 1-855-562-2020. And be sure to include your name. Obviously, that's going to be super helpful for us to identify your application in case you have any kind of errors. I know sometimes people have last name changes in case they get married or if they move. So this is really important for us to locate your application if that needs to be updated. And you can also update details like that on your own through the applicant portal, which is on 2020census.gov. We want to thank you today for the time and your attention. And we also would like to provide our contact information here. That way, if you have any kinds of questions, you can follow up with us directly. You would not have to contact the Career Center to get in contact with us. This allows you to email us directly or call us directly so we may answer any kind of questions that you might have. So at this point, we'd like to open it up for questions from our audience. And if you do have a microphone and a camera, it'd be great to see you. That way we can interact with you in real time. It's always great to see faces of our audience members.
Great. Thank you so much, Yolanda and Jacob. We'll definitely start the Q&A portion now. There's several ways you can do this. It could be via chat if you want to chat there. If you want to ask a question direct, we can also facilitate that as well. I'll go ahead and start with a few that I found in the chat there.
Oh, hold on one moment. And before you do, we always like to encourage participation. So if you are participating, we want to give you some swag. So make sure that we get your contact information so we can provide that to you. All you need to do is just send Yolanda or myself an email. That way we can send that out to you.
I love it. There's the swag, Yolanda.
Yes, yes. We just wanted to let you know we are encouraging all of everybody to apply and ask questions via the chat right now, or if they have questions that they want to direct to us offline, they can send us an email and we will be sending swag. We have water bottle, pens, chapstick, nice little wrapped item. So we'll send that right to your home, safe and sound.
Awesome.
So let the questions begin.
All right. We got a couple coming in here. Cynthia is asking, how long will the census, how long is it taking an estimate?
Okay, John, Jacob, I'll take that one, but I would like to know when she's saying, is she asking the census period? Like when are we delivering the results?
It looks like how many months will the work last? So if once they're employed, how long they will be employed for?
That's a great question. So all of the positions are temporary positions. They run 8 weeks at a time. However, every position that we are hiring for that we have discussed with the office and enumerators, they run 8 weeks at a time. And then if there's still work, then you get extended. I'm going to allow Jacob to talk about his personal testimony here, but that's how traditionally it works. Every 8 weeks, you get, we do an assessment, and if you continue and want to move forward with the census, and we decide also that it's been working out great and it's mutual, you know, you would get re-extended for another 8 weeks. So there have been individuals who have been starting off at 8 weeks, and they've 8 weeks themselves into longer periods of time. So I'll let Jacob speak to that really quickly.
Thank you. I actually got hired on January 6, 2020, and I was originally hired as an office clerk. And so I'd be doing administrative tasks, making outbound phone calls, selecting people for positions. Then I was promoted to become a recruiting assistant, where I have the autonomy to work from home. I also make my own schedule. I travel to different locations to promote census jobs. And I was working in that position for about 2.5 months. And then once COVID-19 happened, you know, I'm working from home again. making outbound calls, doing virtual career fairs such as this one. Recently, I got promoted to become a recruiting manager, and I'm going to be doing that position starting next week on Monday. And I'll be working in the office, but at this capacity, I'm dealing with more of the strategic planning, more of the oversight. So within a short period of time, not even 6 months, I've already had 2 job promotions. So this is a great way to gain a lot of experience, federal work experience in a short amount of time, build a lot of relationships with nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations. Even though it's a temporary job, it does have a lot of opportunities for growth.
That's great. Thank you, Jacob. Hey, Jacob, if I'm not mistaken, did you mention you being an alumni?
Yes, I'm actually a current MBA student, and I'll be graduating in a couple of weeks. June 2020, I'll be getting my master's degree in cybersecurity and a second master's degree in business management. So what a great way. I'm already using my degree right now, and I'm not even done with it yet.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to share really quickly. Thank you, John Kim, for calling out my email address, and I just put it and corrected it in the chat. It is incorrect. And my apologies. We were making some edits to this new PowerPoint shortly before bringing it up. It is YOLAND.Shepherd.Johnson@2020census.gov. So I went ahead and put that in the chat. Thank you so much. Jacob looks like he's going to fix it for me. YOLANDA. YOLAN. Thank you so much. So thank you, John Kim, for calling that out and for seeing that. And so it's right here correctly now, and it's also in the chat.
We have a question from Sonia asking, how long is the hiring process?
So the hiring process, honestly, I can't give a blanket answer for each person, for each individual, because there's fingerprinting and then there's also background check. So depending, for some people, I've heard everything, the turnaround has gone for as short as maybe 4 to 6 weeks. And then for myself, it took 3 months from the time I applied and to the time I was actually sitting in the seat. And then for other individuals, the same thing. So what I would really want to encourage and make sure that everybody knows is once you have been called and you've been interviewed, and if you've been offered a contingency offer position, move forward and follow the directions that are given to you immediately. I believe from the time you are offered a position, you have a week to schedule a fingerprinting appointment, and then a week to actually execute it and get that done. Then after that, that gets submitted, and then we go into background check. If there's any questions or any information that we need to get from you in regards to make that go quicker, please do that diligently. So that's one of the factors that determines how long it also takes for the process. So I can't give you like a black and white number of how long it takes, but all I would want to encourage you to do is as soon as you get offered that position, follow the directions as promptly as possible.
And just to piggyback off what you said, I know a lot of people right now are receiving unemployment, because of COVID-19, and they might be earning a lot of money right now with unemployment, maybe about $4,000 a month. But I also want to let you know that this is not guaranteed forever. So I think in July is when that COVID pay is probably going to stop. So even if you do apply for a position with Census right now, that gives you a little bit of a buffer period, because obviously there's going to be some processing once the application is submitted. There's still going to be fingerprinting, background check, etc. But once that's all done and you do get an offer for a job and you accept the offer, that's great. You can always decline the offer if you don't want it. And if your current position where you're working at right now that possibly laid you off because of COVID-19, if they do take you back, then you can always decline the Census position. But I would not want you to miss out on an opportunity to have some kind of income coming in, because those that are banking on unemployment, it's not something that's going to be happening forever. And typically it takes a few months, even if you're fully qualified for a position, to even get selected and get hired, because it's a process for all organizations out there, not only just the census.
Exactly. And then also, I just want to encourage everyone who is applying to be a part of history. This is probably the third census that's, I think, made history for one reason or another. And, you know, it does look like we will not deliver the results on time the way we usually have traditionally in the past. There was only 2 other times we didn't get it in on time, and it was due to an unforeseen circumstance. So being part of that effort to be able to react and be part of history, this is an opportunity that only comes every 10 years. It looks great on the resume. So that's another reason why you would want to be a part of this.
Great. We have our first, we have a couple hands that are being raised here, so I'll go ahead and start calling on them, and I'll go ahead and unmute you. Eduardo, feel free to jump on in here. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. Oh, unfortunately, we can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're on mute, maybe on your phone or your computer. We'll have to we'll come back to you, Eduardo, or go ahead and give us the question in the chat. Okay, next we have Valeria. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I just had 2 quick questions. One of them being, hi. My driver's license has 2 last names, but my social has 1 name. I haven't applied for a job in a long time just because I've been in my current job for a long time. So I don't know if to apply with my social security last name or my driver's license last names.
So that's a really good question. What I'm going to say is, so I assume, so at least that's the commonality between both your driver's license and your social security. I guess you have a hyphen. Is that what?
Yes.
Is it, okay. So I would definitely go ahead and put the most current information in there, and social security, because they run a social check, and as they are going through background check, they'll pick that up and make it congruent and line up. I have a similar, actually me personally, I had a similar situation. So what I did was use the most current information on my driver's license, and when they do their due process and diligently check things out, it ends up being congruent. So those type of things, those are pretty common, especially people who have hyphenated names. So I would use the most current information and what you have been using most often.
Okay. And one last question. On the background check, I currently have someone on a court order restraining order for domestic violence. Would that affect my chances for the positions?
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to encourage you to apply, because I'm in no position to make that decision. We have a whole team of specialists who decide what criteria moves someone forward and what criteria stops them, or what criteria will involve more questioning and more information needed. So what I would recommend and what I would encourage you to do is apply, and they are processing people nationwide with all type of different scenarios and situations. So I feel confident in saying there's nothing that they're going to see that they're just totally blown away and not familiar with. So I would go ahead and apply and let them make the decision to ask, okay, can we get some more information about this, or whatever it is that they might need.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thanks. Eduardo's question through the chat, since it's temporary, do we qualify for any benefits?
Yeah, great question. So as far as it depends on the position. So I'm going to use myself as an example. When I was working as an office clerk and working as a recruiting assistant, benefits I was getting was weekly pay. As far as health benefits, I was not getting any kind of health benefits, no vision, no dental, nothing like that. It is a temporary opportunity. Once I moved over to the management role, then I would be able to qualify for health benefits. But again, it's a temporary position. So once the position's over, the benefits would be ended at that point too.
Thank you, Jacob. Michael Flores, he had to leave the meeting a little early. He emailed you direct, but I noticed him and someone else had emailed about very specific. They had applied previously. They're kind of waiting for feedback or for follow-up. Would you say the best thing to do is to email you direct for help on that?
Yeah, they can, or they, like I covered it earlier, they can check the applicant portal. If on their end, if it says available, obviously that means that the next step is for one of our clerks to reach out to select them for a position. If they've already been selected for a position, then the next step would be come in for fingerprinting for a background check. If they've already completed that, then obviously they're waiting on a date for training. So I'll have to follow up with them once I receive their email to identify what specific situation that they're in, because it's going to be a little bit different for everyone.
Great, thank you. Is the U.S. Census Bureau currently offering graduate level internships? And if so, can you speak to those?
I don't know of any internships, not at our Palm Springs office. Right now we're hiring for positions, actual paid positions, not anything unpaid. These are all, again, temporary federal employment positions. Yolanda, are you guys hiring for any interns at your office location?
Yeah, you're correct, Jacob. It's and the information is the same as far as the office. However, I do want to share this information with you because we have graduates and students who want to see their want to use their experience and maybe their education and maybe some job experience that they have, and they want to reflect that somewhere. Just so you're aware, you can go on USA www.usa.jobs www.usajobs.gov and look up the U.S. Census Bureau or the Department of Commerce. And for the most part, we do not recruit for those positions, but those are positions that like myself and Jacob hold currently. And this is where our education and our work experience came into play in regards to the positions that we currently hold now. So for those individuals who are looking for different opportunities, I know the individual specifically spoke of internships. I don't know if we have anything at the headquarter level as far as internship. Everything is paid, as Jacob mentioned. However, if you do want some of your experience or your education to reflect in the position that you have or want to get or to reflect in the pay, that is where you would go, and you can look for census opportunities there.
Great, thank you so much. Do you need supervisor experience to get a supervisory position?
Yes, absolutely. So in the actual application, I spoke about this earlier, there was an assessment. If you're interested in a supervisor position, you would obviously select yes, and then there's going to be 10 additional questions that are going to be asked of you. For example, have you ever held a supervisor position before? If you say yes, obviously it's going to allow you to advance. If you say no, then that's a completely different story. So yes, absolutely, you have to have that experience.
Great, thank you. Is there additional incentives for multilingual speakers?
Okay, so I will, what it will do is it'll widen your opportunities. So now that we're kind of, I want to say midway through towards the, I would say midway through the operation, we would be closer to the end had we not had to pause like we did. We start getting very specific as to the needs of the different areas, the criteria of the different positions that we need to fill. And one of those criteria is the ability to speak another language. So I would say it would actually make you available for more positions. It puts you in a pool that will get you exposed to, more than one option. So that's how I would say it incentivizes people who speak another language to apply.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jacqueline. I am the events coordinator. Thank you, Jacob and Yolanda, for being here today. And I actually had a question from someone who messaged me privately. The question is that if hired on as a temporary position, how long or what does the process look like to get a permanent position with the U.S. Census?
This is only a temporary.
Jacob,
yeah, it's a temporary position
Only a temporary position. Okay.
up until the end of the operation. However, there's opportunities, like I mentioned earlier, to network. In this kind of position, we meet a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. For example, one of the people in my office actually used to work for NASA. And so he has different contacts. I had another person who used to be a lawyer. He has different contacts. So it's not really, and you'll hear this all the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
Right.
So this is a great way to network with other individuals. In fact, a colleague of mine recently got a position with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And that was all, making connections at the census office. And that led, obviously it's a permanent position, that's not a temporary. Because once the census is over, obviously this position would be done as well.
So
right.
it would be good to, I'm sorry, Yolanda, I just wanted to add, so it would be a good way to, instead of seeing it as a temporary position, it's more like a stepping stone for another door to open then, right?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay.
You're a federal employee, and that, depending on what direction they want to go, that holds a lot of weight.
Perfect, thank you.
Awesome, thank you so much.